Hey everyone, we're back with another video. This one is a curious little Easter egg that's been found in the last few days. But as always, like, comment and subscribe, and check out our channel over at thatretrovideogamer.com. You'll find the website pretty much covers most of the latest news for the latest generation of games, also the hardware as well, and also quite a lot of the retro aspects as well. After all, we are that retro video gamer, so we do tend to cover pretty much anything, no matter how archaic, how old, how vintage, what type it is. It's always worth something that's going to get reviewed on that. But yeah, going back to the channel, we've literally had an insight coming in from Kotaku. This one's on Kotaku Australia for a change. About a nearly 20-year-old Easter egg that's been found in Half-Life. Particularly, this one's been obviously not been found for God knows how long, but it was found on the PlayStation 2 version of Half-Life. It's a bit of an obscure one. Most people probably didn't go around to playing that one. If you did, it was usually on the PC. Particularly, I was going to say we're going to scroll through it. It was one of the additional packs that was added to it. The short end of the stick really on this one, when Valve were doing the deal directly with PlayStation and Sony to try and get Half-Life onto the consoles, as they were trying with Dreamcast, PlayStation 2 before it as well. They were trying to add extra incentives to get the deals to go through. This one in particular came through an additional episode called Decay, of which there was an extra couple of Easter eggs that were dropped in there, obviously no one's picked up on. And the way this can be found, if you haven't already read up about this one in the background, is there's a way you can change perspective on the character models and pay close attention to one of the destroyed computers during one of the end events. Now, obviously, the secret's been discovered by Half-Life expert on YouTube, Matifimus Blackamus. Apologies if I haven't spelled that correctly. But they have uploaded a short video demonstrating, obviously, the Easter egg on there, which I thoroughly recommend checking out, as it is absolutely fantastic that's on there. But yeah, basically, very end of Half-Life Decay, end of the episode, you basically go through the functions and the storyline on there. You'll get an interaction between the end of the factoids. She's one of the two scientists that you can play in this co-op campaign. But we do have a second scientist, and that scientist was Colette. Now, you don't get to play her so much within the game. You can, but obviously, particularly with the ending, you weren't meant to really sort of go on to that sort of section. But if you did, and you did a few modifications here and there, you are going to notice there's a broken computer just in the corner of the room. And now, obviously, we'll put the picture just on the screen, which is this one lovely here. Now, when the explosion happens during the course of the interaction, you're going to notice it's only on screen for a fraction, a short amount of time on here, but it is going to do some intermittent explosions. It's going to do a few here, a few here, a few here, etc., etc. Now, what Mavitimus Blacksmith did find out, it was, I think, a little bit of prior knowledge into the history of the programmers that were actually working on it. He didn't believe these effects were all being done at random. He went back through, obviously went and re-recorded it, re-looked at each of the effects where they actually sparked off. I managed to notice that, drawing the lines on here, we have an M, we have an A. Simple initials, and these refer back to the initials of Matthew Armstrong. Now, he was a level designer of Gearbox software, particularly notorious throughout quite a few of the original classic Team Fortress 2 maps. Now, it's absolutely brilliant because he wherever levels he goes on to, in any game he develops for, he leaves his initials. And I think that's where the clue for Mephisto's has actually originally come in. He's looked at some of the previous designs, he knows that the guy's been there, he's left these little indicators in. There's a signature of his work, just because of the old days of playgrids and alterations here and there. You want something to say, I created that, and that is my piece of work throughout my CV. So he left it there, partly for his own benefit, not for anyone else's. And obviously until now, no one's ever known about it. Now, it's fantastic. You've got to look at it from this point, because it's a really interesting Easter egg. The fact that it's managed to survive 20 years, no one's picked up on it, is incredible. I mean, we've had ones that have turned up in Batman, and we've had things in Halo before, and there was a very recent one only last year got picked up in Futurama, involving a mysterious Easter egg that was hidden behind one of the cupboard doors. I think it was literally in the in the original HQ. But it's absolutely wonderful that things like this still get hidden, and we're still discovering them today. I'll go through the bits here. I say the Easter egg is neat. It's not as weird as some of the secrets hidden in Half-Life 2K. For example, there's a secret that can only be found if the players hit a corpse about 600 times. You've got to question what kind of mentality, partly from a level design and a programmer aspect, as well as the individuals who actually go around experimenting, who would realistically hit a corpse 600 times just to find a random Easter egg? It's clearly not going to be something on the norm. No one in the right mind is going to go around hitting a corpse 600 times alone, let alone hitting every corpse in the entire game 600 times. So it's beyond beggars' belief that these kind of things are meant intentionally to be found. They're just put in there as like these random things, mainly because you get data miners coming in, looking through the code and working out, well, there's an event that happens 600 times if I do thing A to exhibit B. And we've seen that kind of situation end up with Neo Automata, where we had the couple of barrels literally at the end of one of the first bosses, which if you stood in a particular section and you did a certain maneuver set which was indicated within the code, then it basically walks you to the very end of the game, allowing, and it was originally intended as a shortcut, so you could basically complete the game 3 times and you could get the appropriate absolutely everything on the essentials. Now that kind of thing, I understand it's there partly as not a treat for the home user, but partly from the dev testing point of view, where someone's obviously going through the Q&A quality process and they want to just get to that point just to make sure they can recheck it and make sure all the code's fine and the end of game events and actions and abilities that are granted are all working okay. But these kind of things, they are a little bit pointless, but they're almost infuriating for the completionists as well. And I kind of like it. I like the fact that they're still being put in there in the early naughty sort of games, and I do wish we had more of them being put through nowadays. I mean, it's we still get the same ones with Call of Duty as we get Angry with those. I love the fact that we still get like the Assassin's Creed games, even though they're a kind of bi-yearly thing and they're absolute slogfest to go through nowadays. There's still little touches and little treats that just drop through just to think, you know what, we do remember these acts and these events, and they do smile. And it's the same with quite a few of the Nintendo aspects. There's little hidden gems that are also put in those, and I like the fact that some of those game designs are still holding on to those little bits of past events and experiences that I had through playing games as a kid, and it's wonderful that these are still going on today. Now Kazaka's obviously gone through and they've mentioned obviously personal favourites that they put in 2016, secret dialogue trees, etc, which is all very well and good. It's everyone has their own perspective on this, but it's short and sweet. This was a very simple Easter egg that's been dropped in. If you can let us know in the comments of any ones that you particularly found on any other games, feel free. Obviously there's no exceptions on here if it's recent, retro, wherever, if it's either classic ones or obscure ones that you might have picked up, but feel free, just like, comment, let those in, and we'll hopefully discuss some of those winning ones in a later episode. Take care.